Ladies and gentlemen, this chapter of Shokugeki no Soma was absolutely beautiful. So let's get into this. First off, we start off with a tasting, of course, because in the last chapter he had finished his dish, um, which is a form of quail, and what it ends up being, he stuffed it with, I believe, egg and all kinds of crap. I don't even know all the things he put in. I forget, and I don't really care. It's not that important. But the important point is that it is a very good dish, and Shinomiya stripped immediately, and so did Hinako. And oh my gosh, Hinako, she is good looking. Um, um, but then one of the big things that really killed it, you know, was the fact that the thing that held it all together was the same thing that Shinomiya used in the Shokugeki between himself and um, Megumi slash Yukihira. And it was a great thing to see because it shows that Soma is learning from a better chef, simply because Shinomiya is a much better chef than Yukihira Soma. So um, it was great that he took a failure, and again, that's his theme, is taking failures and turning them into successes, which is awesome. And the dish was a big hit. However, it was just a mark short. It did not make it on the menu as is, which is good. This is a good thing. Soma is not on the level that which he can, um, you know, create menus for Shinomiya's kitchens and have it stick as is. And I mean, it should be that way because he's great, Soma. He's one of the best in Totsuki as far as his year goes, like the freshman. But um, at the same time, he's not a professional, at least in that regard. Um, so I do like it because it sets us limits. Because if someone's out there just steamrolling over all the Michelin star chefs, then we have no like limitations for him, and he just kind of goes off, and there's no danger or threat to the cooking that he does. And so the fact that he is being set all these limits, where he's lost to Hayama, he's had a lot of trouble in Shinomiya's kitchen, and he's had to work through all these problems. And then even creating a dish that's very good, it's not quite there yet. Which is it. Like I said, it's good because it still gives Soma this margin of error to improve over the course of the rest of the manga, however long the story is going to go on for. Um, Presumably till he graduates from Totsuki Academy, but you just don't know. So in that regard, it was good, and it gets even better because Shinomiya even steps in and says, "This is how I would do it," and he ends up teaching Soma, and they end up staying up all night basically, um, doing uh, these two, this dish and improving it, and just this advice. And Soma is very grateful. He even calls him Shinomiya Sensei, which is great. And he gets kind of mad at that because he's a typical tsundere, even if it's not a romance thing. It's more of a just a friendship tsundere, if that makes any sense. So yeah, that was great. Uh, and then finally, it seems he's passed. Of course, he says, "Well done, Yukihira Sama." So he's basically passed, and so he's going to another place. And he basically tells Soma, like, you can't screw up, because if you don't, or if you do screw up, you're gonna hurt my name because you worked under my kitchen. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna, and he basically tells him get first place, and someone's like, yep, I'm going to. And so, that chapter, this chapter caps off, Shinomiya's training camp, um, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. This, I really enjoyed like this small bit. Like, of course, I enjoyed the first one because I really liked the interactions between Soma and Hisako, and the restaurant itself was fine, but and this one here, like the interactions were not as good, but the atmosphere was better. So, but the interactions were really good at the end. That's what I have to say. And it really topped it off beautifully. Where Soma has learned a lot. He didn't learn anything really in the first one because this is shit he's used to pretty much, and he's the one that ended up changing shit. And but this one is where he started to learn. Now the next one, we'll see if he learns at the next one or what have you. But it's definitely going to be interesting, as I'm sure you all are excited if you are fans of this manga. I know. Look, everybody talks about how it's like a softcore hentai manga. And yes, that it is. It's very risque, as I say many, many times. But to be honest, I kind of laugh at them, and some of them look really good too. But it's art. It really is art. Like I don't support hentai, like straight up hentai for the sake of hentai. Like it's that like there's no art in it really. There can be, depending on how it's done and how it is portrayed. But really, like Shunseki and Sukura Yuto, the two of them, they really like they're very cohesive with how this softcore, hentai is kind of indoctrinated and just kind of mixed and blended into the story and everything that goes into it. Like they're not just stripping just to strip. There's a reason behind it. It's because it's supposed to be a visual representation of how good a food tastes. It's very, very metaphysical. And so it's very artistic in that way, and it gets the point across. It's something we call showing, not telling. I believe I've mentioned it a lot. And believe it or not, that actually is a way of showing and not telling. Uh, like you're literally showing them how much that dish, tastes, how well it tastes, and so I really do respect it. I respect the art form when it's done in this way. I don't respect if it's just drawn just for nudity. Like this Shokugeki no Soma is not written and drawn for that purpose. It is written to tell its story, and that is a secondary purpose, which is fine, if it works. And I think of any series I've ever read, Shokugeki no Soma does it the best. I don't really read hentai or anything like that. I'm really not into it, but you know, like Fairy Tail does something like panty shots and a lot of like something similar to softcore hentai where there's a lot of like nudity without like the actual parts, without the parts that can't be shown on a shonen, and a lot of it's frivolous, but it's fine. But compared to like Shokugeki no Soma, which has an actual purpose and is done very well, I think there's just a clear difference there, where Hiro Mashima could learn from Sukura Yuto and Shunseki, even though Mashima's drawing is pretty damn good when it comes to that shit. He's good at drawing women, so I'll give him credit for that. So yeah, I went on, I rambled on, but I felt like it needs to be addressed. I don't know. Since I'm reviewing the anime and there's a lot of people doing the anime stuff and they're like, yeah, it's a fucking hentai, I don't want to fucking watch it. I mean that's what turns a lot of people off, but to that I say, fuck that. At least like check out the first 3 episodes because the anime is awesome right now. I'm telling you guys. If you're fans of this manga and you haven't seen the anime, go fucking watch it. I'm telling you, it's awesome. The animation's beautiful, and they do a really good job of portraying the series. So this chapter was awesome, and I can't wait for more. Alright, so I'm briefly going to talk about Shokugeki no Souma Etoile. Um, this was chapter 2, apparently. I haven't seen the first one, but I can't. I'll have to search harder to find it because I couldn't find it. In fact, I'm going to look right now on Google while I'm talking, but I made sure I looked up the word to make sure I was saying it right. I was going to say Shokugeki no Souma Etoile like an American, but it's Etoile. I don't know. It's French, I know that, which is an obvious reference to Shinomiya. Um, so in this this chapter, we focus on the okay, I found it. But yeah, so it focuses mostly on Hinako and Shinomiya, um, which is pretty cool because obviously, um, you know, Hinako and Shinomiya are pretty interesting characters in total, and so um, I think it's cool that they focus on them for like some a little side story, and um, so like obviously, we find out that Shinomiya is going to France, which we knew obviously from the future that he had come back from France, um, and opened up his own restaurant, but now he's saying like I want to open up my own restaurant. So we're really looking in hindsight, because we already know that he accomplishes his goal. In fact, opens up multiple restaurants, and then, as we know from the current state of the manga, um, spoilers if you're not reading it because you should be. He's opening up a restaurant in Japan too. So, Hinako and Shinomiya seem to have something going on. I mean, it wasn't obvious in the main series. Like, you could tell there was something there, kind of, but it was more of a like friendship type of thing. But in Etoile, it seems like there is something more. It looks like the author is trying to um, kind of ship them, and it's it's also by the same people. It's by Sukure Yuto and Shunseki, um, artwork and story, or story and artwork respectively. So, um, so I'm guessing this is all canon material, and so Hinako is very upset that Shinomiya is going to France, but more or less because he didn't tell him sooner, so that she could, and I quote, support him from the bottom of her heart. Um, so she basically helps him out and shit, and it pretty much ends off where he's about to go to France. So um, I didn't want to talk too much about it because this is going to go at the end of Shokugeki's next chapter review. So um, maybe I'll talk more the next time. I don't know if this becomes like more discussion based. If there's more discussion warranted, which it might be. Um, but this was a good chapter. I kind of enjoyed the dynamic between the two, and now that I found Etoile 1, I'm gonna read it. I won't review it, but I'll read it at least. So, thank you all for watching, and see you guys next time.